Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Jim, and today I want to talk to you guys about Gears of War 4 Collector Edition. Now, I am a huge fan of collector's editions, but I just cannot understand why Microsoft continues to outprice themselves in terms of collector's editions. If you guys recall the Halo 5 Guardians limited edition, which included a statue of Locke and the Master Chief together, you could separate them and point them together, or they could be together. It was a pretty nice size statue. But the whole collector's edition was $250, which is a little steep when you think of it's just the game and a couple little tchotchkes that go into it. And in case you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of collector's editions, and I was sitting trying to wrap my head around why one of my favorite games, Gears of War, was be selling this new collector's edition for $250. Now, it does include a statue of J.D. Phoenix on a motorcycle, and it looks to me like it's about a foot by like 8 or 9 inches long. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's because the size of the statue is so large. And it does come with, I believe, a steel book and some dog tags and some other like tchotchke type items. And I started to do the math, and I figured, well, looking at all the other collector's editions I had, can I really kind of put associated price on how much a steelbook costs, for example? And the answer is no, I can't. So here's the first collector's edition statue I want to talk about. This right here is the good old Arkham Knight. My wife and I took a look at this one together. This collector's edition comes with a box, which is this box right here, although it's kind of glossy. It's probably hard to tell, but trust me, that's the box. It came with a comic. It came with a art book. It came with a steel book and this statue, and it sold for $100. So in terms of like how big a statue is, this thing is pretty damn large. Now, I'm not going to argue about the quality. I'm not going to argue about like, it doesn't have as many colors as other statues. I was just talking about sheer size, and I was thinking maybe sheer size has something to do with it. That's got to be why Microsoft has completely gone nutso and is selling their their J.D. Phoenix statue for $100. Well, okay, let's look at some other ones. This is from Dark Souls 2. Now, the Dark Souls 2 Collector's Edition sold for $129, and it came with this guy, which is a pretty nice statue, I think. It came with a art book, it came with a cloth map, and it came with a steel book. $129. Well, they were very consistent because on Dark Souls 3, they did the exact same thing. I mean, they had the statue, they had the steel book, they have the map, all for $129. Now, you're probably noticing a pattern here. Most collector's editions are in the $100 to $129 range. There are a few exceptions. Street Fighter actually was not one of those exceptions. This came with the Street Fighter game, obviously. I don't believe this had a steel book with it. Arguably one of my favorite statues right now. I think this one is really, really nice detail. Although you had to assemble it, but that's okay. This is a really nice statue of Ryu Hayabusa standing there. Actually, I don't think his last name is Hayabusa. I think that's the Ninja Gaiden guy. We'll just call him Ryu, okay? The Hadouken dude, right? I really like this statue a lot. It came with the game. It came with the statue. It also came with a 1-month paid subscription to Twitch on the official Capcom channel, which unlocks all the emotes and all that sort of stuff. It also had a comic book, like a digital comic book, and $100 for this. But as I was starting to say, there are some that start to exceed the norm, more than standard price point. Case in point, Mortal Kombat X. Mortal Kombat X sold for $150, and it came with a core statue. There was another statue, I can't think of the name, but I thought the core statue was so cool, and I think this one is really, really nice and stylized. A really, really good portrait of Scorpion. The cool thing about this statue is it doesn't have a base. He just kind of stands on his own in this position. He's got the harpoon. And finally, one other collector edition, which was on the steep end for $150, was the Metal Gear Solid Collector Edition, which came with this really goofy robotic hand. I remember the review I did with my wife on this. I gave it a 10 out of 10 because I knew it was the last Metal Gear Solid game that Kojima would ever make. All kidding aside, this is one of the stupidest collector editions I think I've ever seen. But the hype was real. Kojima was on his way out of Konami, and I said, you know what, this isn't gonna happen more than once. So let's go ahead and buy this sucker, and we did. And it came with this. It came with I believe, a steelbook, and that's about it. So you look at all these collector's editions, and yes, it was a little bit of a show and tell today, but I wanted to pull them out. I have more. I have the Destiny Ghost edition. I have other ones. I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, but I wanted to give you a good spread of games, old and new, to show you that none of these exceed $150. So what the hell, Microsoft? Why is your collector's editions continuing to outprice everybody else's? The Halo 5 Guardians Collector Edition statue was nice, but you can't tell me it's nicer than any of these other statues to the point that you're willing to pay a $100 upcharge in getting that statue. That does not make sense to me. Because when you really boil it down, the steel books are a wash, the tchotchkes, whether it be a cloth map or a comic book or a subscription to Twitch or stickers, whatever, that's all just that's a wash. Now, sometimes it comes with an art book or a soundtrack, which is nice, but again, that's not premium dollars. Maybe a soundtrack is no more than $10. Maybe the art book, I'll say 10, maybe 15. When you start adding these all together, you kind of start to see a pattern here, and that is that Microsoft is lost their damn mind. So I was hoping that when the Master Chief Collection came out, and I blindly purchased it, I blindly pre-ordered it, because there's $250, I don't know what it was, I knew it was a numbered limited edition set, I didn't care, I had to have it. When I actually saw what the statue was, I canceled it, I didn't get it, and I ended up just getting the regular game. I don't have any collector's editions or the digital anything, it was just the game, that's it. And that was the first time in a long time. And I felt kind of weird not having like the statue. But the more I looked at it and the more I thought about it, I was like, this thing isn't really that great. So time goes by, and within 2 months or so, they'd already dropped the price by $100 to getting it closer to where it should be. It was in that $150, $175 range. Now, at that point, considering all the other crap I've bought for this price, I said, hey, you know what? It's not a bad deal, but by now I've already bought the game. I already own the game. I'm playing it. I'm not going to buy it again and try to do some Walmart Rent-A-Center trade-in. And they lost me. The last check I saw at my local Best Buy here in Orlando, it was selling for $89. Did not yet include the Gamers Club Unlocked. Take another 20% off that. You're looking at a pretty cheap collector's edition. It's this giant beat up box. You could tell it's been shipped from store to store to store, and nobody wants it. And as quickly as the hype of the collector's edition and this limited number set rolled into our lives, is as quick as it rolled out, because they outpriced themselves. And lo and behold, here we are with the Gears of War 4 collector's edition, which is selling for the exact same price. It comes with a statue and a dog tag and a steel book. And yes, it does have the season pass. And you could say, well, geez, Jim, with the season pass, that's, an extra $30 or $40. Yes, you're right, it is. But even subtracting that, the statue ends up costing you about $85 to $90. Now, you cannot tell me that this piece of shit is worth $90, okay? There is no way in hell this is worth $90. And as much as I love my coveted Ryu Statue, which again is one of my absolute favorites right now, you cannot tell me this is worth $90. It's not. It's a piece of plastic. It comes apart. You could take his head off, his torso. It's got, this little plastic kind of cheap looking stand. I mean, it says Street Fighter on the bottom, which is kind of neat, I guess. But his feet don't even lay on it flat. His feet kind of float in the air. I could nitpick this thing all day. And again, this is one of my more coveted collector's editions. So you can't sit here and tell me that that is worth $100. So what the hell, guys? And this pisses me off, because Gears has lost its relevancy. It really has. There has not been a good, proper title in a long time. We had Judgment. I think everybody agrees that Judgment sucked. Nobody liked it. We all tried to like it and pretended it was good, but it wasn't good. It was horrible. It was clearly an afterthought. The best part of Judgment was actually the bonus missions at the end, which were clearly recycled Gears 3 missions, which did not make it into that title. So, we had the Ultimate Edition, which was nice, but it had been rehashed. Yes, it was 60 frames a second, but there was no new story there. The multiplayer was what the multiplayer is, whether you love it or hate it. I did a video on my opinion on that a few days ago. But We haven't had a proper Gears title in a long time. And now finally we're getting one. We're getting a true sequel, Gears of War 4. We got a new studio headed up by Rod Ferguson, the Coalition. It's really like a Microsoft first-party title. They're clearly going to spend a lot of dough on this. They've already started some pretty heavy ad campaigns. They're putting together these really great trailers, just like the infamous Mad World trailer in the original Gears of War. You have the Tomorrow trailer in Gears of War 4. They're blowing a lot of money on this, and I think that's great, and I hope the game sells and shines and is amazing because of that. But let me tell you something. When you make a collector's edition that is $250, a quarter of $1,000, you've lost your mind. You've lost touch with the fan base. You've lost touch with guys like me who wear Gears of War shirts, who have Gears of War stickers over their TVs, and the collectors, all the action figures that I have, and the Crimson Omen on the back of my truck. You disconnect yourself from guys like me because it's so hard to justify that when it's $100 over the most expensive collector's edition that I have, which was even stupid to pay $150 for that stuff. And now you want an extra $100 on top of that. You guys are just, I don't know what's going on with you. Yes, you can get the Gamers Club Unlocked. Yes, you can get Amazon Prime and you could drop it to $50 less and you could get it for about $212 with tax and shipping. But still, $212 with tax and shipping is still too much. The $200 threshold for a single title, for a single piece of software, is ludicrous, especially when there are so many great games coming out this year and next year and the year after, and all those collector's editions always find a way to keep it between $100 and $150. So what warrants this game being that much more? Yes, I know I've rambled, but I'm passionate about this, and it pisses me off because I'm a Gears head at heart, and I want this game to succeed, and I want it to be popular, and I want people to yearn for this collector's edition. I want people to be screaming in the streets they didn't get it. And some of the other ones I have sold out, and people were going livid, and the games ended up being amazing, and it drew a lot of hype, and it drew a lot of attention to the title, and that's what I want. I want Gears to remain relevant. I want Gears to be great. And I think that the true collectors, the true guys, the guys who dedicate their lives in 600 square feet of their house to their hobby, to their passion, to their love, what you guys, what you do, you're doing, Microsoft, what you're doing, Coalition, is you're fucking the fans, and I hate it. I hate it, and it's wrong, and it should not be allowed. And you know, you're going to do it. It's not going to sell well, and that box is going to be sitting next to the Halo 5 Collector's Edition, and no one's going to buy it because people are like, this is nuts. I could buy a brand new system for this price. I've seen refurbished Xbox Ones for this price, bundled in with games for this price, brand new handhelds, consoles. It's silly. It's silly. And, you know, every time Microsoft starts to right the ship, and every time they start to kind of turn it around, and Phil Spencer comes out and says, hey, that PlayStation Neo, that's garbage. We're not doing that. We're not going to upgrade our software in the middle of hardware in the middle of a hardware cycle and segregate the fans. But forget about Kinect. Okay, maybe bad example. Maybe the Kinect was a bad example. But you get my point. Every time they do goodwill, every time they do something amazing, they pull crap on us, like they pull this kind of crap on us. Why? What have we done to you guys? You need to tell me what warrants that price. If you don't believe me, sit down, open a spreadsheet. I tried to do it and I gave up. And list the $250. Go ahead and subtract $60 for the game. Go ahead and subtract $30 or $40 for the collector's edition. Hell, give them $30 for the Steelbook. Give them $30 for the little dog tag that you know you could get out of the quarter machine. The statue is still outrageously priced. I've rambled way too long on this, and if you made it to the end, I salute you, good sir or good man. But let me tell you, I'm a fan, and this offends me, and it should offend you too. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.